Vincenzo'S Gold Crypto Investing this March the 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time update, your daily, nightly update here. We ask you to bell notification, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and share to get that truth, trust, integrity, and valuable information how we're trying to change the crypto landscape and the narrative in crypto and the perception of crypto to information, education, integrity, truth, and trust back into the sphere. And you, if you're listening to my voice right now, I'm talking to you are the one with me to bring that back, but we can't do it without you. And hit that subscribe button and join the first mover advantage to get the education and information you need so you can make an educated and informed decision in your trading sphere. And we're going to start off today. We'll start off with some of the altcoins, or else I'll forget to do them. We're going to put this on focus. That way nobody bothers us. And if we look at what's going on here, we're going to start with the first one is COREUM. I know people love COREUM. Got members of Jabroni Killers. He's a first mover. He's getting the first mover advantage. And he gets my utmost attention when he comments something. We we talk about it on the next video. And I will comment to you in the text down there very, very quickly to let you know I've received the message and we're going to look at it. But COREUM, we started looking at this when he brought it to my attention. I believe it was in somewhere around here. And we were looking at this and identified with the VP volume indicator right there that I have in the background. And we seen where the trading volume is. And we'll extend that. Yeah, that's about just before February, late January, we started looking at it. Mid to late January, because that's where my VP volume indicator ended, but it's still in the same area. We identified this purple support and resistance box, and then a major underneath support at 20 cents. And we were looking at it, and I remember we were in this descending channel right here. You see this descending channel in the daily time frame? We said, well, while we were in there still, we looked at it and said, what could a potential breakdown be with it being in there? And you can watch the video from way back then. And we went from the top of the move to before it started the pattern and seeing what we had there. And it was about a 23% decline. And then we put it from the potential. And I believe we were in this candle in the daily or this candle. So we were somewhere about to break out of that. And we placed it there and said this would be a target for where you, if you break down where you would go and you wick down to it. And then when we did that, we identified this major upper resistance was the top of this purple trading zone, along with this green horizontal resistance that was support and resistance back in the late fall and early winter. Uh, and you can see where we wicked up to the top part of the zone, and then we got rejected on a bunch of wicks right there at the major first area, and then we traded all the way back down, and we were looking for a hit on this 0.10 or the 1 cent level or the 10 cent level for a major support. And we've been talking about there could be a potential bounce as you get to this 10 cent level, and it's attempting to do it now as it's starting to trade sideways, and the bounce could be quite substantial from here. In a perfect world, you could pump all the way back up to that 20 cent level. And if we look at why, it's because we're almost at a historic new low, a new low to be set and put in and tagged. But this is a major area where when we started, we had our first support. So I'm thinking this would be a logical area for a nice bounce. And you can see from the top so far, from that big wick back there where somebody's trapped way back here, unfortunately, they weren't part of the first mover advantage. The price where it's at right now is down about 89% from the top. So that's a pretty substantial move, right? You understand? Substantial. So I could see a nice bounce, like we've seen a few times, going from this 10 cents. Ooh, it's our daily. I do not want to buy you. I don't care. get ad free for free, don't care. That's a 100% move from the 10 cents to the 20 cents, where you would likely probably get rejected. But you can see a couple of times we've had some nice bounces. We had a nice bounce after we broke out of that. From the wick to the wick, we went up 47%. And then after we had our first major decline where people thought there were problems and we had a double bottom, and then we bounced from there 60%. So in this downtrend, this is not out of the question to get a substantial bounce like that. So that's an area that we're watching for a potential bounce in quorum. Or unfortunately, you could get a slight bounce here. Get rid of these dots. You could get a slight bounce along this, which I would expect at least some bounce. And then you trade up and get rejected by a falling 50-day moving average. And then you trade back down. Then you get rejected. And then you end up down there at the major underneath support, which that's supposed to be. Get rid of that. That's supposed to be down there. But you get the idea that's going to be at this 6 cent level, right? And that would be option B. If you can't get the buyers and you continue bearish, that would be how you would do that. So we're going to watch out for that in COREUM. XCN is another one that the subscriber brought this to me after the massive pump. And we're going to go into the 4 hourly to make this head and shoulders look a little easier. We were in this rising channel, massive pump, and we pumped up. And this is the power of jabroni killers. And if you want to become a member of jabroni killers, which we've had, which we've had great members and new members to get that first mover advantage. Sorry, we got discombobulated. To get that first mover advantage, to get that super simple and easy truth, trust, and education to trade this market and to help be part of the way we're going to bring back and be part of the movement of bringing back integrity, trust, and truth back into the market while giving you information and knowledge that you need to stay sane and not to FOMO and not to freak out or get manipulated by your emotions being played on by the criminals and the infiltrated influencers that just play on your emotions. Hit that join button. I made it only $3.99, and it says support Vincenzo's channel. Uh, and that is the cheapest and I believe best value. And if you can find a cheaper along with the value to support a channel on YouTube from a crypto insider or influencers, please show me. I have strived to be the cheapest, and not only the cheapest, but the best value, right? Hit that join button, subscribe, obviously, and then you can do in the video description or the pinned comments, and it says at Jabroni Killers, and then below that are two of the sites that I trade on. If that was something that you're interested in, people ask me what I trade on, but we had this massive rally when a subscriber brought this to my attention, and it was at the height of a 20x run. And I was saying, and I believe they brought it to me when we were back over here, mid-January, late January, on that first hump. And I said, now is not the time to buy. The FOMO is not the time after an 18, 16x move at the time. That is not the time to buy unless you're trying to quickly swing trade it because there would be a better buying opportunity. And when we looked at it, we drew out as we got into this head area, a head and shoulders topping out reversal pattern, fitting in within our other pattern to give us confidence that the price was going to break down. And we had a targeted move out of that head and shoulders at 0.04. And you can see it hasn't had any capitulation yet. It's been a steady, slow, orderly descent along with the bearish cross, or almost, it's probably a bearish cross now. We haven't looked at it in a while, but you can see the price went down substantially from that peak. It's down at current price 79.43%. And I'm still thinking before a nice little return rally, because there will be a return rally in here, you would think there'd be some kind of a capitulation where it's a flash drop, something very quick like that, and then it quickly rebounds. So it's either going to happen on this local double bottom where right now you're at, along with the price. If you notice at the beginning of this jagged up and down, it was more violent, where you had bigger moves down and bigger moves up. And as we move down, the decline's been more orderly and smaller in each pump and each dump on the way down. And now you can see ever since, oop, that's how you know we're getting longer. Still do not want to buy you. You can notice though, since about the 4th of this month, look how small the moves and how very, very small movement up or down within the 4-hour time frame as there's ready to be a breakout either to the upside or a quick capitulation to the downside to 0.0087. And then if you did do that, I think you would have a nice little rally. What's going on there? You would have a nice little rally. If you had that 20-25% drop, I could see a big rally all the way back up like that till you get to the moving averages in the daily time frame with some major overhead resistance, or you could try to pump now and have the big move up and then have to try to hold that on support and maybe try to break out of that to have a more substantial move to the upside. But eventually, I think this is going to give back potentially as far down as where the move started because it went up so much, but there will be a return rally at some point. But right now, we're going to continue to follow that, but that's what I'm looking at there. VTHO was another one that was in the middle of this pump right here when my beautiful jabroni killer member brought this to my attention. And that was a 500% pump. And we said there would be better buying opportunities. And that's why we put at the time the 100-day moving average that it would come down to, and now it's substantially below the 100-day moving average, right? And now we'll just adjust it to the current where it's at, and it actually gave 100% of that 500% move from just a local pump at the beginning of February, and you can see where it started from. At some point, you would think there'd be a return rally, maybe where if it does have a return rally, you could be looking at somewhere up here, right? Which would be a substantial move to the upside after a massive move to the downside where it gave away 100% of the last 4.5 to 5x move. And you can see it's because the volume only had a very small area where there was actually volume. And then there was another small area here as it was making its first part of the bull run that it was in before it had a nice correction, right? So that's what we're looking at right now. The next leg to the downside, if it does go down, I believe would be, I don't think I have one of those targets. It would be down exactly to where the move started, which is all the way down here. And that's about, oh, look, it did actually wick down there. So that makes sense why it bounced there. And if it broke down out of that now, the next layer below that would be all the way down here where we have major support and resistance. And you can see we have support here, resistance there, and it would come all the way down into that area, and we'll make that a different color all the way down into that area, which is a big fall to the downside from current price all the way down near the mean of the volume is a 58% move. And on any kind of a pump to the upside, you have major overhead resistance. No, we don't want to lock that. We want to clone that. You have your major resistance. Come on. Maybe I did lock that. Unlock. You got your major resistance, like I was trying to say, up here at 0.036, right? So double bottom at the 0.002. And if it falls down and you try to hold that, if it slips it, you have a big fall down to there. If you try to pump, you have major upper resistance right and low. And that's what we're looking at some of the altcoins. Let's take a look at some XRP before this video gets too long and I forget. You can see in the XRP right now, we've identified and sniffed out and detected J with the current official temperature of 53 degrees J, just north of downtown Detroit, inside the Vincenzo compound in the great state of Michigan, right? We have this head and shoulders with the first mover advantage and the power and the value right there of Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing. And now we think we're trading through this right shoulder and like I've been stating, I think when we do hit this targeted move down here at $1.29, and if you say, Jay, how did you get that target? Well, if this is a head and shoulders, which I believe it is, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We've identified the neckline on the left shoulder where we hit it one, two, three times. Then when on the head, you wick down to it and popped up. And then now on the right shoulder, you've hit it one, two, three, four times. Still don't want to buy you. That ad's not going to help whatever company that was. And you go from the top to the neckline to the point of a breakout, and that's how you get your $1.29 target. The same way as we didn't change our philosophy based on manipulated news on that early Sunday morning a few weeks ago, where XRP pumped 40% in about 3 hours. And I would beg you to go on an influencer station, a major influencer station, and that wasn't bullish that day, that didn't think the run was going to continue. They thought the end of the little mini bear trend in XRP was over, and that was the next leg to get you to $4. And old Vincenzo said, not so fast, my friend. And we identified, sniffed out in a super simple, easy way to give you that trust that you've come here for, the information, the education on what was actually going on. And we expected it to get rejected at the 309 because we were bouncing off a technical level right here at the neckline. And we talked about it in those videos on Friday the 28th, Saturday the 1st, and the 27th of February. You can go watch those videos where we were forecasting maybe a weekend pump as potentially as high as the 256 all the way up to the 269 level. And that's where we thought we would get rejected, but they put that news out and it maximized the pump off of where buyers were at a technical level. And you had a 3 hour pump of nearly 40%, right? But we were on top of it. We didn't buy the brief hype train. We knew there was a technical reason for the bounce, and we understood and dissected the reason that it pumped. And it was because it was an early Sunday morning when all the major exchanges and stock markets around the world are closed. So it's thinly traded, and you would have a mass retail pumping in at a very quick time as the news broke. And they understood that, and they manipulated and fleeced you, and then preyed on your emotions by knowing you would go to YouTube to find big influencers and insiders that you think are giving you the truth, but they are only paid to fleece you by playing on your emotions and making you feel like you were going to miss out and the pump was going to the next 2 to 5x move. But we told you